بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. After our brief tafseer of Surah Al-Fatiha, let us now give a brief and concise tafseer of the next surah, Surah Al-Baqarah. Baqarah, of course, meaning a cow or a heifer. It is the female cow. As always, just a reminder to the listener that your tafseer can be as detailed as you want it to be. Sky is the limit. However, for most people, detail can actually be destructive because it's all a bit too much to process. So we will keep our tafsir nice and concise, avoiding too much detail. The aim is just to understand the kalam of Allah Jalla wa Ala properly. What does properly mean? As mentioned before previously, properly understanding the kalam of Allah is understanding the speech of Allah the way Allah Jalla wa Ala intended it to be understood. This is our attitude towards the Quran and the Hadith. First of all, Surah Al-Baqarah, as well as most of these larger beginning surah, is a Madani surah, which was revealed after the Prophet set out for the Hijrah. And in keeping with the Madani surah style, it is much more mellow in its tone. It speaks about ahkam, and it does not have this severe and belligerent tone about it as the Makkiya surah do, because these types of surah, the Madaniya, are addressing largely the Muslimin, although Surah Al-Baqarah does address the Yahud of Al-Madinah as well. So these surah are much more mellow, they're not as harsh, and they are less eloquent than the Makkiya surah, and less rhythmical and less poetic. Surah Al-Baqarah has many virtues, and just amongst the most famous ones being that shaitan flees from a house in which Surah Al-Baqarah is recited. Likewise, the last two ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah will suffice you, the Prophet says, and this means they will protect you from any hated or disliked thing in the night time, such as the shaitan affecting you. So let's get straight into it. The surah begins Alif, Lam, Mim. These are three letters of the Arabic language. Does this first ayah have a meaning? The answer is no. How do we know this? Well, because the Quran is revealed in the bilisanin Arabiyyin mubin, in the clear Arabic tongue. And we know in the clear Arabic tongue, letters by themselves do not carry a meaning. Okay, so this ayah literally has no meaning. And do not pay attention to those who say that the meaning is secret and only Allah knows and all that type of thing. No, there is no meaning in this ayah. But then one may say, what's the point of this ayah if it does not have a meaning? We say it does not have a meaning, but it has an aim and an objective. So meaning is ma'na, and an aim or objective is a maghza. So these types of huruf muqatta'a, these separate letters that you find at the beginning of certain surah, they do not have a ma'na, but they do have a maghza. Okay, then what is this objective? The objective is that Allah Jalla wa Ala is saying that this Quran is revealed in the Arabic tongue using Arabic letters. And despite that, the antagonists from the kuffar are unable to produce the like thereof. So if that's the case, then surely it should point towards someone superhuman, above the human ability, revealing this speech. So in other words, this is the challenge that Allah Jalla wa Ala issues to the kuffar to bring the like thereof. The next ayah, ayah number 2, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ, that book. Notice he does not say this book. Why not? He says that book as if it's far away, that book. Not this book near, close to us, but that book. And the reason he says this is because this book is actually far away. It is high and beyond us, due to its lofty status that none can reach. If the book was near us, it would give the idea that it's lowly, just like we are lowly in this dunya, the lowly place. Also notice the alif lam, al-kitab, dhalika al-kitab. It does not say dhalika kitabun, that is a book, referring to the Quran. It is al-kitab, which has this meaning of kamal or perfection, the book, meaning the ultimate book. La rayba fi, there is no doubt in it. Now, doubt is shak in Arabic, but here the word rayb is used because rayb is doubt with worry and anxiety. If you flip a coin, you say heads. You are in doubt, a 50-50 doubt. It could be heads because it could be tails, 50-50 chance. This is a mere doubt. But if one points a gun to your head and says heads or tails, and if you get it wrong, he'll pull the trigger and you say heads. Now you're also in doubt, 50-50 doubt. However, you have an added ingredient of anxiety and worry because of that gun being pointed to you. So this is not just shak, this is rayb. Allah Jalla wa Ala is saying, let no one have any rayb that this book is from Allah Jalla wa Ala, and hence it is the truth and a guidance. Be in no doubt, but not just that, have no worries and no anxiety in your heart. It says, Hudan lil muttaqeen, a guidance for the muttaqeen, people of taqwa. Taqwa is when you protect yourself from the punishment of Allah by doing that which He orders and refraining from His prohibitions. Taqwa comes from wiqaya, which means to protect oneself, as in waqina adhab an-nar, and protect us from the punishment of the fire. Okay, here's a question. It's a guidance for the muttaqeen, but is it not a guidance for the whole of mankind? The answer is yes. The Quran indeed is a guidance for the whole of mankind, but the reason why He mentions muttaqeen is because they are the ones who will actually accept the guidance and be benefited from it. The rest of mankind, even though the Quran is a guidance for them, will not accept it and reap its benefits. Okay, so we've discussed that the Quran is far away, as in it is lofty and high. It is written in 3 places. Firstly, the Quran is written in the Mus'haf, which is in your hands. Secondly, the Quran is written in the Masahif of the Malaika, when Allah Jalla wa Ala says none touches it except the purified. And thirdly, it is in the Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz. So these are 3 places in which the Quran is written. Then the third ayah reads, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Remember the previous ayah spoke about the people of taqwa, muttaqun. This ayah tells us some descriptions of the muttaqun, 3 in total. Number 1, they have iman in the ghaib. Now iman comes from the word amana, which means trust, and some have said that having iman in Allah Jalla wa Ala is simply having trust in Allah. After all, both words have the same root letters. Amana, amina. Amina means to feel safe, and from that, trust, because feeling safe and trust, as you know, are closely related. So this is fine as a definition. However, a good definition of iman would be as follows: al-i'tirafu bil-shay' ma'a al-qabul wal-id'an. You have iman in something when you acknowledge it with acceptance and submission. This is a good definition because Abu Talib, the Prophet's uncle, also acknowledged that Islam is the truth, but he did not accept it, nor did he submit to it. Likewise, Hiraql acknowledged the same thing, but without acceptance and submission. So the definition of iman which we have given is a good definition. Notice he also says yu'minuna billahi. The letter ba is used, and when the ba is used with iman, then it is pertaining to something of the unseen. And we say this because the letter lam can also be used with iman. Yu'minuna li shay, and this would be something of the seen, as in Surah At-Tawbah, yu'minu billahi wa yu'minu lil mu'minin. He has iman in Allah and he has iman in the believers. But the ba and the lam are used. Ba for Allah and the lam for the believers, because Allah is unseen and the believers are seen. Likewise in Surah Yusuf, وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ لَنَا وَلَوْ كُنَّا صَادِقِينَ. You will not believe us, even if we are speaking the truth. So notice the lam, because the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam are not from the unseen, they are seen, they are right in front of you. And the second characteristic, وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ, and they make iqama of the salah, establish the salah. So this idea of establishing the salah, what does that mean? It means praying properly with all the conditions of the salah, the wajibat, and all the bells and whistles of the salah are in place. Establishing the salah regularly on its proper time. So notice he does not say these are the people who pray. No, they establish the prayer. It's much more emphatic. You could build a sand castle or you could build a real castle. The sand castle is not very well established. It will crumble at any time, as opposed to the real castle. So establishing the salah becomes a firm element in your life, unshakable, and done with perfection. They establish the salah. Salah linguistically means dua, making dua, and in the technical sense it is an act of ibadah devoted to Allah Jalla wa Ala, with certain actions and movements which begins with the takbir and ends with the taslim. And the third quality which he mentions, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, they spend out of what we have provided them. The word rizq is used, that's provisions or providing. So notice the interesting choice of words. He's saying that your wealth is only provided by Allah Jalla wa Ala, so it serves you to spend it in His cause, and that there is no such thing as a self-made man. Anything which anyone has is the provision of Allah Jalla wa Ala. He will gain nothing more, nothing less. Reflecting on this ayah, notice that the description of the muttaqun begins with believing in the unseen. It takes precedence over the salah even, because without your proper aqeedah, your acts of ibadah are just futile. So it's telling us, get your aqeedah right first, then worry about the details of the fiqhi matters. That's why aqeedah is called al-fiqhul akbar, the greatest fiqh. And at the root of your aqeedah is the unseen. If you look at the 6 pillars of iman, all of them are in the world of the unseen, except for the scriptures which are in this world. They are not unseen, everything else is unseen. Then the next ayah reads, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِن قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. A fourth description given of the muttaqin, those who have iman in what was sent down to you, O Muhammad ﷺ. They have iman in what was sent down before you. Okay, so this is a case where we know what the words mean, but what does it refer to? And we say it refers to the scriptures, because the scriptures were sent down. The Quran was sent down, but also before the Quran, with other messengers, they also had scriptures sent down, some of which we know and much we do not know. But the mu'min believes in all of it without distinguishing and without discriminating, as the Yahud and the Nasara do. They discriminate between the scriptures and prophets. The mu'minun do not. The mu'minun keep their consistency. The ba is used with the iman because it is the book that is being referred to, and the book is the third person. It is not referred to as the second person. So the ba can be used with iman when speaking of the third person who is not necessarily here. And the fifth quality given, وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ, the akhirah, the life after death, and all that which it entails. And that's a whole separate lecture. They have yuqinun, which means certainty. It comes from yaqina. They say yaqina al-ma. The water is yaqina, which means it is still and not moving. And so when you have yaqeen, your belief is unshakable. It does not move, it does not waver, like a leaf in the wind, wavering left and right in accordance with the wind. No, yaqeen is more like a mountain in the wind, staying completely still however hard the wind blows. And the fifth ayah, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَى هُدًى مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Those are the ones upon huda, guidance from their Rabb, and those are the successful ones. Notice ulaika, not haulai, these. He says ulaika, those. Why? We discussed this before. Those has this idea of being far away. And such people, the muttaqun, are far away. They are far away, high and lofty. a status which very few people can reach. So in that sense, they are far away. They are not close. Hudan is guidance from their Rabb, and we spoke about what Rabb means. And they are the muflihun, successful ones. They have attained what they wanted, and they have been saved from that which they dislike. And so here, the definition of success is given to us. Success is simply for you to be a muttaqi. It is not the one who amasses most wealth. So this is a great fa'idah which we can take from this ayah. So we can take from the fawaid of the aforementioned ayat the importance of the aqidah, and the root of it is belief in the unseen. We take from it the importance of establishing the salah. We pick up the benefit that we must believe that our wealth is only given to us by Allah Jalla wa Ala, and that we are not self-made people. So we give all credit to Allah Jalla wa Ala, and to Him belongs the ultimate thanks. And we learn the importance of spending in His cause from our wealth, which is ultimately Allah's wealth. And if that's the case, then we can also take conversely that being stingy and miserly is a blameworthy characteristic. He says, mimma, from which we have provided them. That means you spend part of your wealth. You do not need to spend the whole of your wealth in the cause of Allah Jalla wa Ala. And then again, spending on your family and on yourself is also something which Allah Jalla wa Ala requires you to do, and it is an obligation for you. Some scholars may say that the word min does not have to mean tab'id, meaning some portion of, but it could mean bayanul jins, which means to say that the word min is simply talking about the type of wealth. That is to say, you can even spend the whole of your wealth in charity. Now, upon this opinion, however, we say, okay, you may spend the whole of your wealth in charity on the condition that you can replenish your wealth, because otherwise you're putting yourself into poverty, and that is not allowed. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anh spent all of his wealth in the way of Allah during the battle of Tabuk. So it is permissible, but on the condition that you can replenish your wealth, and that you do not put yourself and your family into poverty. We also learn of the primacy of believing in all the scriptures that were sent before the Prophet, and believing in the current scripture, which is Al-Quran. And also we pick up the primacy of the belief in the Yawm al-Akhir and all that which it entails. Now this belief is not optional. It is the bare bones minimum for a person to be a Muslim and a muttaqi. And we also learn Allah's definition of al-falah, success, which is to have taqwa. And that's the way you reach the highest ranks. As the Prophet ﷺ said, the people of Jannah are going to look at the dwellers of lofty rooms, just like you people look up towards the stars at night time. And the companion said, these must be the messengers who occupy a lofty status that no one else can reach. The Prophet said, no, these are simply men who have iman in Allah and the messengers. We ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to make us from amongst them.